Hello, this is Alexandra Levine with Alexandra Levine Live. You are all in with Alexandra Levine. I want to say a shout out to my Jewish brothers and sisters today. Happy Purim, as we say in Hebrew, Chag Sameach. The story of Purim is a very beautiful story. It talks about the book of Esther, Queen Esther, the Jewish queen, who was married to a non-Jewish man, King Ahasuerus. But what happened was, when King Ahasuerus was seduced by the evil man Haman. Unfortunately, Haman told King Ahasuerus to make a mandate to annihilate all the Jews in the area. Queen Esther did not tell her husband that she was Jewish before they were married. But when she found out the mandate, she ran to her cousin Mordecai and said to Mordecai, "What do I say to my husband?" And he advised her. He told her exactly what to say to her husband. And she said to her husband, she said, "Because you have called for this mandate of Jews, I am a Jew and I will die too." And as a result, King Ahasuerus said, I cannot kill my wife and her people. So what he did is he did the ultimate reverse. Instead of killing the Jewish people, he killed Haman, and he hung Haman's evil sons, his wicked sons that were much more evil than him. And I just want to say that the Jewish people also fought back. They were a small army at the time, and they fought back against Haman and his minions to win the day. There are so many women out there, Jewish and non-Jewish, that are Queen Esthers out there. But of course, the Jewish people can never have a good holiday. It's always got to be havoc because of pro-Hamas people ruining everything for all of us. And what happened today in New York City at Trump Tower, which I've been inside, in the lobby, you had pro-Hamas activists screaming and shouting and defending this pro-Hamas man from Columbia University, who was the cause and havoc of what was going on at Columbia University after October 7th. It was a group called Jewish Voices for Peace, which the mainstream media called them Jewish activists. Let me educate you on Jewish Voices for Peace. They are anti-Jew Jews. They are formed and funded by a horrible man named George Soros. I combated Jewish Voices for Peace in Annapolis when I combated CARE being a part of the Anti-Hate Commission. I went up against Jewish Voices for Peace. I had no problem. And as a result of my voice, I got rid of CARE from the Anti-Hate Commission in Annapolis permanently. You can go on my YouTube and watch that testimony in real time. Jewish Voices for Peace does not represent me as a Jew. And then you have Senator of New York, Chuck Schumer, who, as we call, hashtag not a real Jew, hashtag not my Jew, hashtag not a true Jew. And as President Trump called him today, and he has called him before, he is a Palestinian. He stands with the Palestinian terrorists. He stands with Hamas. He stands with the Muslim Brotherhood. He stands with terrorist organizations. I've asked Senator Chuck Schumer to denounce his Judaism and to go hang out with Hamas and the Taliban and Al-Aqsa Martyr Brigade and the Islamic Jihad, because those are the people that he needs to hang out with. And then let's see if they're his friends. But Chuck Schumer is a disgrace to the Jewish people, to the Jewish race. So is Bernie Sanders. So is Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler. I can tell you these Jewish men do not represent me and the majority of the Jews across this country and across this world. I have to apologize for their ignorance, for their stupidity. The fact that any Jewish person would stand with a terrorist organization is a disgrace. And we have that in the state of Maryland with Congressman Jamie Raskin, a Jewish congressman who's a Jew in name only that stands with CARE, AKA Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood. The Jewish people have hashtag had enough of Jewish leftist progressives that are supporting and backing and working with terrorists. They're formed and funded by terrorists. They're funded by the George Soros of this world. They're funded by Hamas. They're funded by the Muslim Brotherhood, Al-Aqsa Martyr Brigade, the Taliban, Islamic Jihad, and so forth. And again, I thank the Jewish people for hashtag exiting the Democrat Party and for voting for President Trump this time. But I implore the Jewish community, especially in Baltimore County and Baltimore City, especially the Jewish constituents of Baltimore County Councilman Itzi Patoka, who has the audacity to run for Baltimore County Executive. I challenge his Jewish constituents to hashtag exit his party, to move to be either an independent or a Republican, not vote for him in the primary. But if you do not leave his party, do not vote for him in the general. We have somebody else who's much better that supports the Jewish people and will protect the Jewish constituents. Itzi Patoka supports illegal immigration. Itzi Patoka has not said boo about what happened today at Trump Tower. Again, we have someone else, a woman, Kimberly Stansberry, we'll bring up her flyer later tonight, that will be your next Baltimore County executive, that should be your next Baltimore County executive. Again, I challenge the Jewish constituents of Baltimore County Councilman Itzi Patoka to leave the party, to not vote for him, and to vote for Kimberly Stansberry. And again, another highlight in the news today. As you know, President Trump has been working really hard to bring Ukraine and Russia to the table for an automatic ceasefire. As you know, President Trump is the master negotiator. He wrote the book, The Art of the Deal and The Art of the Comeback. And what did he do today? He got Russia to agree to a 30-day ceasefire with Ukraine. And Zelensky, of course, had to crawl his way back in. As you know, he had the audacity to come to America and demand more money and say that he was alone. But Putin has actually been working very well with President Trump. They've had great conversations. Vladimir Putin wants the war to come to an end. Zelensky doesn't. After President Trump and his team removed Zelensky from the White House, what did Zelensky do? He ran to Europe and got $2.6 billion from the UK and many others, including his best friend in France, Macron. But now Zelensky has no choice. Remember what President said, he doesn't have the cards. Now Zelensky is coming to the table with Vladimir Putin to do a 30-day ceasefire agreement. Let's see if the agreement stands. Let's see if Zelensky will play ball, because I can tell you that Vladimir Putin will play ball and wants the war to come to an end. Something else that happened in Baltimore County public schools is a group named CASA. CASA celebrates as Baltimore County Public School Board of Education passes reforms to protect immigrant students. This goes because there was a teacher that called out the illegal students that were in the classroom and said that they had to go, and contacted ICE, DHS, and our good friend border czar Thomas Holman to remove these illegal immigrants, these illegal criminal students, these illegal terrorists from the schools because they're causing havoc. Again, Baltimore County, the state of Maryland with the Governor Wes Moore continues to combat President Trump's executive orders and loves illegal aliens, illegal criminals. Again, as we talked about a couple weeks ago with Fort Howard, a historic landmark, it is federal land, how Governor Wes Moore passed an illegal bill to push Section 8 housing into Fort Howard, which is not just for low-income families, but it is for illegal criminals. Again, we are working on the federal level, and we'll have elected official Tim Fazenmaker later on the program to discuss what he's been doing with that and how we are combating this illegal bill that Governor Wes Moore put into place, and he activated it January 1st of this year. But we have some great news. We'll put up the first slide. As the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, wrote, "Happy Wednesday." We'll put up that slide. Happy Wednesday, America. Lowest core inflation in 4 years. Lowest mortgage rates since December. Airline fares down, gas prices down. GE Aerospace announced $1 billion in U.S. manufacturing. Japan beer maker Ashi announces investments in jobs in Wisconsin. That's what President Trump campaigned on, bringing jobs back into this country. Lowest core inflation in 4 years. That is amazing. Jobs are coming back to this country. Manufacturing jobs are up for the first time ever in about 4 years since Joe Biden took over. Under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's administration, manufacturing jobs were down. Everybody was losing jobs here in America, and they were having the jobs go to China, jobs going to Mexico, and so forth. But now our jobs are coming back to the United States. And second slide coming up, DOJ uncovered a $6 million grant. Good Lord. And this is exactly why these audits matter. This happened to do with Whoopi Goldberg. Her real name is Karen, by the way. And what they discovered is that DOJ uncovered a $6 million grant awarded to Whoopi Goldberg to, quote, promote diversity on The View. Now, for those of you who watch The View, I don't watch it. I don't watch that garbage. They don't have diversity on there. I mean, they have Whoopi Goldberg, who's Black. They have Joy Behar, who's a white Catholic. They have another woman who's a white Catholic. Another woman who's a white Christian. They have Ana Navarro, who's a white Hispanic Christian. It's not really that diverse, and they're all liberal. And one of them actually used to work for President Trump. If it wasn't for her, she wouldn't even have a name, Elisa Farah. but it's a not diverse show. It's disgusting. And to find out that that we, the American people, were giving out money to this show is disgusting. That's why it's so important that we have Doge. For people that continue to combat Elon Musk, why? He's exposing all the waste, corruption, fraud, and abuse. That's what we wanted. That's what President Trump campaigned on, and that's what we voted for. I'm so happy that Elon Musk, with Doge, is exposing all of this waste, corruption, and fraud. He also exposed that there's people that are 150 years old, 200 years old, 250 years old that are collecting Social Security. We know that that's not possible. The average person maybe lives to 105, 110 maybe. I had a cousin that from Brazil that lived to 104. God bless her. And even President Trump, and I agree with him, he said, the person who's 150 years old, I'd like to meet that person. I'd like to drink their fountain of youth. I'd like to meet that person too. I'd like to meet the person that's 300 years old. We all know that it's BS. We all know that there's nobody that's alive at 200 years old. This is not Abraham times or Moses' times anymore. And then we'll put up this other slide about what's going on against Elon Musk. A transgender, and this is from my friend, Gunther Eagleman. He's got 1 million followers. We love Gunther. A transgender has been arrested and is facing federal charges after terrorizing a Tesla dealership in Colorado. Transgender violence is an issue and it needs to be addressed. And after that happened, actually the police went in, ICE, DHS, they're arresting all these transgenders that are hurting Tesla and trying to undermine Tesla. And they see that Act Blue, which is a Democrat organization, was trying to hurt Tesla as well. So anybody, again, that combats Elon Musk is stupid. The guy is one of the wealthiest men in the nation, probably the world. He's almost a trillionaire. And you're combating him? And what did President Trump do the other day? He actually bought a Tesla. He bought a red Tesla. And President Trump has said, I love the electronic cars, but I know that the majority of the people, they live on gas cars. The Tesla cars are very expensive. They range from $100,000 plus. The average American cannot afford a $100,000 car. But it's good to see the diversity and the dynamic of the Tesla car with the car with gas. But also, Elon Musk gave President Trump the option of having a green car, a blue car, a red car. And President Trump was so cute because he said, I can't drive the car. I'm not allowed to. I have the beast with me, but we're going to keep it in the White House. And if some people want to drive around the White House lawn, that's fine. But again, combating Elon Musk, the dumbest thing that people can do. And again, the transgender community, what the heck is a transgen? They're less than 1% of this country. I didn't even know what a transgender was until Barack Hussein Obama. And I feel and I see and I read that the transgender community is really coming to an end, meaning they're not growing as much as they did under the Biden administration. Now that Trump is in, they're actually, their voices are getting shut down. Their messaging is getting shut down because they don't have a message. A lot of them are whacked out to heck. And I see Republican lawmakers that are calling out these transgender lawmakers. And even though the person says they're a woman, they're really a man. And that was a whole thing in, I think, Connecticut, or I think it was maybe Delaware the other day with that on the floor. The guy's a man. His name is Mr. McBride. And he called him Mr. McBride. And this other lawmaker got upset with this Republican lawmaker and said, you have to call the person by their pronoun. Well, what did President Trump do? He removed anybody that had pronouns. I still go to Sephora and shop. They identify themselves by their pronouns. You can see the name tags. It says Katie, she, he, or Logan, he, she, or they, them. Why are they continuing this? And Sephora is owned by Louis Vuitton. They know better. If I was a worker that worked at Sephora, I would not wear pronouns. I would say, I'm out of here. I would say, President Trump, under executive order, said no more pronouns. I'm going to get fired anyway if he sees me with a name tag with a pronoun. No more pronouns. The pronouns are done. And then we have this moron senator, Elisa Slotkin. We'll pull up her post. This is a different post, and I'll read this too. Trump's economic record is about good as Venezuela's, which is true. Trump has one of the two greatest Dow Jones good jobs in U.S. history. But that's not the post that I wanted to put up. That's the post we wanted. Yes, thank you, by my friend Greg Price. Senator Elise Slotkin says that Americans elected President Trump because they're going through their, quote, angry teenage years and their brains haven't fully formed yet. I put that question to my audience. Is that true? Americans elected President Trump because they're going through their angry teenage years and their brains haven't fully formed yet? I don't know. I voted for President Trump. I consider myself a smart woman. I don't really tote my education, but I'll tote it tonight. I have a master's from NYU. I graduated summa cum laude from NYU. My brain is fully formed. And 18-year-olds, their brain is fully formed. They're on their way to college. They're just graduating high school. So you have morons like her, like Senator Alyssa Slotkin, who just thinks that she knows we the people. She's so out of touch. The Democrats are out of touch. And we'll put up again Trump's economic record, because he had a great economic record this week and this month, that he has done so much good. There we go. Right again. Trump's economic record is about as good as Venezuela's. Trump has risen of the greatest single-day Dow Jones Industrial Average in a U.S. history. It says smart men don't tell you how smart they are. Rich men don't tell you how rich they are, which is true. That's called old money. And tough men don't tell you how tough they are. Honest men don't tell you how honest they are. That's true. My father has said those things in the past. That's true. And President Trump is very good at not telling the enemy what he's thinking or feeling. But we feel this, that we, with President Trump and his team in, we feel that the economy is going to get better. We see that the gas prices are getting lower. We see that the cost of eggs is going down. People can afford groceries again. We see the jobs coming back to the United States. Again, what I said the other day, trust the process. Trust the process, trust the team that President Trump has implemented and put in to fix this country and get this country back on track. It's really important that you trust the process. And again, people are still furious. They haven't seen the Epstein files yet. The Pam Bondi said are coming. Again, she's still getting pushback from some people in the FBI in the state of New York and liberal states. She even claimed that she did receive a list, but it's not the real list. And she's working with FBI Director Kash Patel to make that list known, to be transparent to we the people. And she has to collect the correct list, the correct evidence to release that. I can tell you, I know Pam Bondi personally. She was my attorney general in Florida. She's a tough cookie. When she says she's going to do something, she's going to do it. I really want we the people to have faith that she is going to push that file out and show us the list of people. We already know that Bill Clinton's on that list. We know that some big prominent names are on that list. I'm telling you, the list is coming. We just have to have faith. And one of the biggest things that Pam Bondi did is she sued the state of New York. She sued the governor. She sued Letitia James. She also sued the city of Chicago. She sued the mayor there, and she sued the entire state of Illinois. I have asked her personally, and so has elected official Tim Fazenbaker. We've asked her to sue the state of Maryland, to charge Governor Wes Moore, to charge Attorney General Anthony Brown, to charge Baltimore City Mayor Brandon Scott, and also any mayor, any county executive that goes against President Trump's executive orders, that goes against ICE, DHS, and the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, because this crap needs to come to an end. The fact that we had these pro-Hamas protesters entering the lobby of Trump Tower. I didn't even think you could just enter the lobby of Trump Tower. I remember the minute he became president, it was very hard to go to Trump Tower. You had to have special permission and you had to be specially invited. I had the pleasure of going into Trump Tower in 2013. He wasn't the president at the time. But after he became president, I remember it was very hard to get in. And this was not peaceful protesting. Everyone says, oh, it's peaceful protesting. No, they're calling for the genocide of Jews again. They're saying that Israel is horrible. They're burning flags around us. They're saying that Jews are terrible people. Again, this is happening right before our holiday of Purim. Again, can the Jewish people just have a holiday to themselves? Please, God. We had a really crappy Simchat Torah in October of 2023 because of October 7th. We've had a very bad Hanukkah. We had a very bad Passover. I mean, Passover is coming next month in the middle of April. What's going to happen then? You know, we don't disturb you during your Ramadan, so please don't disturb the Jewish people during our holidays, and don't disturb the Christian people during their holidays too, because you screwed up their Christmas this year. But Jewish Voices for Peace are not Jewish activists. They do not represent me. They're anti-Jew Jews. The majority of them believe in Islam. The majority of them are not even Jewish. Again, I combated them. I combated them at Towson University. I combated them in Annapolis. I have no problem combating them. But it takes more than myself. It takes a whole group of people to combat them as well. I want every single person, Jewish or non-Jewish, to combat these groups, to get rid of these Gaza encampments, to stand up for what they believe in. Because let me tell you something, when these pro-Hamas people, when they go after Jews, guess what? They go after Christians too. We see what's happening in Syria. We all need to stand up here and fight for our right to exist, fight for our First Amendment, fight for everything, fight for, again, our right to exist. It's very, very important because these pro-Hamas people, they try to shut your voice down and they try to hurt you. I want our students to not feel that being Jewish is a bad thing. I talked to a guy today. He's like, I'm embarrassed to be Jewish. I'm embarrassed to tell people I'm Jewish because of what's going on. And I said, don't you ever be embarrassed of your faith. You hold your faith in your hands and you hold your head up with pride. You should be happy to be Jewish. You should be happy to be Christian. You should never denounce your religion because you see people hating you. You should never lie about your religion or lie about who you are. You should wear that kippah with pride. Keep that mezuzah on the doorpost of your house, of your door. You should wear your Jewish star, wear your cross with pride. Because when you don't, guess what? The enemy wins. And we're going to talk about that further on, about First Amendment rights and Second Amendment rights. Coming up right after the break, we have a wonderful guest. His name is Dan Was. He owns and runs the Gun Owners of America. And he will be back with us right after the break.
Do you have old home videotapes that you're no longer able to watch? Need them transferred to DVD, Blu-ray, or your smart device? Baltimore Digital offers professional-grade VHS, mini DV, and high 8 digitizing services. We can also convert Super 8mm film too. Baltimore Digital also provides photo restoration services. Visit archive.baltimoredigital.net. Mention code Alexandra for a 10% introductory discount.
Hey everyone, you are all in with me, Alexandra Levine. This is Alexandra Levine Live. We have my special guest, Dan Was, with the Gun Owners of America. Thank you so much for coming on our show tonight.
Hey, Alexandra, it's great to be on your show. Thank you for having me. Let me just make one little correction. I don't own Gun Owners of America. That's a big organization. I am simply a spokesman for them.
Thank you for clarifying. Sorry about that.
Yep, no problem. But so great to be on your show. Thanks. And I was listening to this segment before and just what a great topic. Fantastic.
Thank you. It's, I tell everyone it's my faith that defines me.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about First Amendment rights and Second Amendment rights. And I do want to bring up the fact that there was a pro-Hamas protest at Trump Tower today.
Mm-hmm.
And we had police officers there and so forth. But do you think, in your opinion, that maybe, if there was Jewish people there, non-Jewish people there, that they should have the right to have guns on them to defend themselves in case, there was huge havoc that happened today?
Well, first of all, they didn't seem like they were Jewish people that were protesting. That was a really strange group. So I was confused about that to begin with. But the way I look at it, if you're a citizen of the United States and you're not in prison, you should have your Second Amendment rights. See, the thing is, people will say, well, we need background checks because, we want to make sure felons don't get guns. Well, first of all, that doesn't work. The background check system doesn't work to stop bad guys. That's the myth that they think, people who don't know any better think that, background checks are going to stop bad guys. But the truth is, the background check doesn't stop the bad guys. But here's the thing. If you're trying to stop felons, why are violent felons, not in jail? This is the thing that we need to focus on. It's not about guns. It's about keeping the bad guys in jail. And here in my state of New York, we've got a governor who lets them out. I don't understand it. Well, I do understand it. I've been in this conversation long enough, and I understand that the real reason is to keep the actual patriots of America unarmed and helpless, while creating violence in society. It's a long story. We can get into any piece of it that you'd like and go into more detail. But to summarize, if you're an American citizen, you should have your Second Amendment right.
Well, let me ask you, because there are some states now that have constitutional carry, some states that don't. My state of
Yes.
Florida became the 27th state to have constitutional carry, which means that you don't have to have a permit.
Right.
Do you agree with that? Do you think that people still should get a permit just in case? What say you about that?
No, just like our founding fathers wanted. You see, our founding fathers didn't write the Second Amendment to say the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed as long as you get a government issued permission slip from a government that doesn't want you to have guns. It just it just wasn't supposed to be that way. The firearm handgun permitting process is not only is it unconstitutional, but it's got a lot of problems. I'll give you a couple statistics. 2017, 112,090 people were denied their firearm permit, their handgun permit. 112,090 denials. Now, of those 112,090 denials, there were only 12,000 investigations, which tells you very quickly that they knew that the vast majority of the background check denials were false positives. In other words, good people being denied their right for no good reason. So you get 12,000 investigations. Out of those 12,000 investigations, there were only 12 prosecutions. In other words, they stopped 112,090 people from being able to exercise their Second Amendment right, and they only prosecuted 12 people. So what happened to those 112,078 people who were denied for no good reason? You know, they went without being able to exercise their right, and 80% of those never got their permit in the end because they didn't appeal the process. There's a whole appeals process, and you need a lawyer and things like that. So the background check system is unconstitutional and full of problems.
I'm really great that you define that, because you go to Georgetown University, you go to all these liberal universities, they have their own interpretation of the Second Amendment and the First Amendment. And these are people that are going to law school, that are going to be the next lawyers.
It's scary. That's scary. Yeah.
It's very scary how they just define it completely different than what you just did. So I thank you for that. You know, discuss, people longing to defend themselves, but they're afraid to have a firearm. As you know, they have something called the burn-a-gun, which looks like a gun, but it's really pepper spray at the very end. Tell my audience the difference between having a burn-a-gun, a real gun. What do you think is most effective, especially nowadays?
Well, I don't have a burn-a-gun, but from what I understand, it's non-lethal, and it might be a very valid way of deterring an attacker, and maybe giving you enough time to run away or whatever. I don't know that it would be the most successful way of saving your life in an emergency when you're under attack. I don't know if you're under attack by multiple people. I don't know exactly how effective it would really be, but I think it's a good alternative for people who don't own a gun or don't want to own a gun for whatever reason. I have no problem with that. It's better than nothing. It's better than not being able to protect yourself at all. I would prefer that people get armed and trained, and we have that right. It's been written in our Constitution, our Bill of Rights. Our founding fathers knew how important it was. I would like everybody to exercise that right and understand the importance and the value of carrying a gun.
I agree with you on that. And my second question, or I'm actually going to go to a different topic about the schools. Right now, we say Baruch Hashem, praise be to God, knock on wood. We haven't really had a very bad school shooting. We did under Biden, but of course, we always think about the Parkland shooting and many other shootings that have happened. And my Congressman Greg Steube, who I'm very close with, he served in Operation Iraqi Freedom. He's very supportive of the Second Amendment. He believes that we should get rid of gun-free zones, and he believes that teachers that have had law enforcement experience, or they have training with firearms or military experience, should be able to carry a gun at school, whether it's elementary, high school, or the college level. What say you about that?
I'm with him. The problem with the gun-free school zones, I'll give you a little bit of history. Back in 1990, there was Joe Biden introduced what's called the Crime Control Act. And in that Crime Control Act was a thing called the Gun-Free School Zones Act. And ever since Joe Biden introduced that in 1990 and it was signed into law, school killings they've doubled since then, and they increase at twice the rate of increase every 10 years. And the reason is because what we ended up doing with the Gun-Free School Zones Act is disarming teachers and staff who would likely be carrying, likely people who would be inclined to carry a gun should be able to carry a gun in school. If your state requires a license, which I'm against the licensing, but if your state requires a license, okay, and you have a license, you should be able to carry in school to protect those kids. Now, it's gone so far that not only are teachers and staff, not able, but the whole topic has been kind of taboo, and it's almost a dirty word to even talk about having a gun on school campus. But having guns on school campuses in the right hands is probably the most important thing, and it would be the one thing that would keep our children and our teachers safe. But ever since they did that, it's been an absolute nightmare. And if you notice something in the media, the political left, they don't denounce these gun-free zones, even after we show them the number of deaths that are caused in gun-free zones. Even after we show them, we give them the stats, we give them the data, and they still deny it. Because on some level, those deaths of those kids and that carnage and those heinous acts of violence that happen in schools helps the political left, and it helps the gun grabbers because it gives them more justification for more gun laws. They're saying, see, we need more gun laws. Well, the problem is it's the gun laws that are sometimes that are most often causing the problem. And in the case of gun-free zones, the absolute worst idea we could have ever done to our kids.
I agree. And the ironic thing is that the majority of Democrats in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, they own guns. Kamala Harris said when she was running, she says, she said it to Oprah, I have a firearm. Somebody's going to come to my home and try to shoot me. I'm going to kill him.
Yeah. Well, they say that, and maybe some of them do. What I've learned being in this conversation for so long is that a lot of times what the Democrats will do is try to trick you into believing that they are up on the topic and they understand guns, and because why wouldn't you understand the topic if you own a gun yourself? So I think a lot of times what they do is they say that they own guns so they can kind of it's kind of like street cred for them when they're talking to people like me. And but the truth is, a lot of times when they say that, I can read between the lines and I can tell that they're not really gun owners, not all of them, and they're just kind of being they're phonies, and frankly, in my opinion.
But why are the Democrats so scared of people defending themselves and owning a firearm?
They're not scared. See, the gun control strategies that they use are really, they're all done under the guise of safety. Okay, so what they do is they create an irrational fear of guns in the public, and they create a hatred toward gun owners. Like these gun owners are recklessly and intentionally putting us in danger because they won't give up their Second Amendment right. So they create all this narrative and all this nonsense, but they're not scared of guns. They understand that gun control laws are really created to disarm their political opposition, which is the patriots, the conservatives, the Republicans, the good guys. So while on one hand they say, well, we want to save the children, we want to make everybody safe, they don't. The gun laws are all created. If you look at them and you can see how some gun laws interact with other gun laws, you can see that the gun laws are actually created to disarm their political opposition.
I completely agree with you on that. It is disgusting what they want to do. And again, I even go to what we say Republican rhinos, Republicans in name only. Like, for example, Congressman Dan Crenshaw. He was an up-and-coming guy from Texas, up-and-coming congressman. And all of a sudden, he went on the rhino train, and he was a former Navy SEAL, but yet he voted for red flag laws. Explain that to my audience.
I wish I could. I wish I could explain what happened to people like Dan Crenshaw. When he first came on the scene, I thought, okay, he seems he seems pretty good. He seems like he knows what he's talking about. I can probably get behind this guy. No, no, he turned. And I gotta be honest. Even President Trump during his first term said, we'll grab the guns and we'll ask questions later. Since then, I got to give President Trump credit because I've always been a huge supporter. But since then, he's changed, and he must have had the right people in his ear saying, "Hey, wait a minute, no, we're not." We're not going to take the guns and red flag confiscations. And he really changed. I mean, he really turned around. He even gave Pam Bondi an executive order that told her she had 30 days to go weed through all the gun laws and make sure that she brings to the surface any gun laws that are violating the citizens' Second Amendment rights, and that they're going to do something about it. They're going to fix things. So we haven't seen anything yet in that area, but I hope so. And so I think President Trump has really made a good turnaround on the Second Amendment. He's been endorsed by some of the big organizations. Gun Owners of America, the organization that I work with, endorsed him, and also President Trump spoke at one of our big events via television screen, via monitor from a satellite location. But he had a message for us at Gun Owners of America, which was great. So I think President Trump's on the right side now with respect to the Second Amendment. Pam Bondi, however, she also supported red flag laws, and she was I think she did that when she was in Florida, AG of Florida. And so she had a bit of a questionable past when it comes to Second Amendment as well. Fingers crossed with her. I'm hoping she does right by the Second Amendment.
Well, I think, like you said, some people aren't really educated on the Second Amendment. They know some things, they may not know other things. Obviously, someone that has a gun, that has had a gun since they were 10, 11, 12 years old, they grew up with guns, they know a lot more about it. I speak to a lot of farmers in Texas. They're all 2A people, and they say the same things that you just said, that in the beginning in 2017, President Trump didn't really understand the red flag laws, the bump stock laws, and so forth. And now this time around, because he's got proper people around him, in my opinion, I think he has more of those pro 2A people, and like you said, those pro 2A groups that have supported him. Now he's telling Pam Bondi about it. Now he's telling Marco Rubio. Now he's telling more people in his cabinet around him and so forth that this is the group that voted for me, just like he did with the Teamsters and so forth. He's put certain people in place that voted for him. He's like, okay, the big 2A people, they endorsed me and they all voted for me. Now we have to take care of them. We have to take care of our own. And I think that's what's happening right now, because it's true. There are some people that are not educated on red flag laws and bump stocks and so forth. Let's see about that.
Yeah, well, that's true. There are a lot of people, you believe it or not, in Congress who really don't understand what the Bill of Rights is all about. I'm convinced that, it's funny because you hear Democrats saying, well, we want to protect everyone's rights, constitutional rights. They don't want to protect constitutional rights. They hate the Constitution and Bill of Rights. They hate the idea that we have a Second Amendment. They hate the idea that we have a First Amendment. And so, either they don't understand it or they just despise it. And I think those on the left really just despise it because they're not cut from the same cloth as us true, real Americans. We want to support the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and what our founding fathers put in place when they started this country 250 years ago. The Democrats have been working ever since to destroy that. It's really strange that we have a government like that. I don't. All I can say is I think it's going to be a constant battle because we have communists in the Democrat Party and we have patriots in the Republican Party, and then we have a mixture of kind of
the uniparty.
Exactly right. So it's always been a battle, but I don't believe the Democrats love, appreciate, and will want to support our Constitution, especially not our Bill of Rights.
A couple of things I want to ask you. There are some congressmen such as Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, and Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. They both have their concealed carries, and they asked Speaker of the House if they could have their concealed weapon with them when they go to the halls of Congress.
Yeah.
Because they've had death threats against them.
Yeah.
Let's say
Well, I think they should. That's another thing. Federal buildings are most often off limits to firearms, and I disagree with it. I mean, I think they should. I mean, Lauren Boebert should be able to carry a gun. She carried a gun her whole adult life, and um, they should. Of course, they should be. They should be able to. Yeah.
And the second question, the follow-up is, they had a White House staffer who was able and allowed to bring a gun into the president's presidential address. And people thought that was very strange. So White House staffer, you go through security, you're going through the I'm blanking on it, the metal detector, there we go. Yep. And you see the gun on him, and it's the president speaking in front of the nation and the world. He's allowed to go through with his gun, but you can't have these congresswomen that have concealed carry, that have, like you said, held guns their whole life. Congresswoman Kate Comack of Florida, her husband is a police officer. She's touched guns her entire life. They're not allowed to carry guns. But yet a White House staffer, a random White House staffer, was allowed and able, went through the metal detector with a gun during the presidential address. What's he about?
Yeah, I remember hearing that story. Was he allowed, or did he just get through with it?
I think he just got through with it. I don't think he was allowed.
So he wasn't allowed, right? He wasn't allowed. Yeah, I don't know how he got through. I don't know the situation over there with the metal detectors and things like that. But yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I believe he should have been able to, because I believe everybody should be able to carry a gun on them wherever they go. But the way it's set up there is you can't, or you're not supposed to, and it's illegal. It's unconstitutional, but it's illegal. And so I don't know how that happened. I really don't. I can't really comment on it.
I think people were concerned that his intentions were not good because it's the president's address. And as you know, President Trump, he's had death threats, and he's been almost assassinated twice.
Right.
Assassinations on his life.
I would, yeah. If I was President Trump, I'd be a little skittish about that too. I would be a little concerned.
I would actually trust a 13-year-old DJ to have a firearm on him than a White House staffer, to be honest with you.
Right. Yeah. Can you imagine? I mean, really, can you imagine being shot at and getting hit that close on your ear? Boy, this is an amazing guy we're talking about. And I don't think people realize just what a treasure he is.
Because I normally watch his rallies live, and I didn't. I was talking to a friend of mine at the time, and my aunt, I'm on a group chat with my family, and they're like, the president's been shot, and I didn't believe it. I'm like, what? Like, is this like, John F. Kennedy, like, what the heck? JFK Jr., like, all over again? Like, what is this? And, of course, I watched the repeats of it, and I got very emotional, because I love President Trump, and God forbid something happened to him, it'd be very hard for me, be very hard for the majority of our country. Yeah. And for him to get up there and take his fist and go fight, and to show the country and the world that he is a fighter, that he wasn't going to let this get to him, and that strength that he had, that he was able to get that extra strength as he's laying down on the ground and he feels the blood, coming onto his face. And people didn't know if he was shot in the head, if he was shot in the ear. They didn't know what was going on. But it showed such momentous strength from the man that day.
That's what I mean.
He go back to Butler, months later.
Yeah, exactly.
More strength. That shows chutzpah, we say in Yiddish. It shows nerve. It shows some gumption to go back to the scene of the crime.
Yeah. I don't know how, frankly, I don't know how he does what he does. And this guy is just
definitely 4 hours of sleep. I can tell you that. Or sometimes not sleep at all. I know he did a bunch of all-nighters during the inauguration. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I started reading up on President Trump. Well, he wasn't president back in the 90s. And I was just amazed at his skill as a businessman. I mean, his strategy and his tactic. He got what he wanted. He was able to do business deals like nobody could. And I always said, we need a good business owner to run our country. After watching Clinton.
I said that.
Yeah. I mean,
my father and I both said it together.
I mean, you're watching these guys, Clinton, Obama, and all these guys, even Bush, just not doing it right. And, always running the business with an ulterior motive, having some other things motivating him and influencing him. Trump comes in like it's a big corporation And that's exactly what we needed. I wish we had another 8 years of it, because it's really going to take he's going to have to get things moving quick to get
Well,
stuff
they're trying
back.
to give him another 4 years. I know Congressman Brandon Gill, he wants to put in another 4 years for President Trump because he feels he was screwed, because we all know, and I've said it on this, I'll say it, that the 2020 election was stolen from him. But other congressmen, Republican congressmen, have said it's a good thing because we saw the corruption of the Biden administration. It wasn't even Joe Biden doing anything. It was Obama and Jarrett on the side with George Soros doing everything and controlling Joe Biden. And of course, Kamala Harris was a puppet as well. So it was actually, in a way, like, as I said, Republican lawmakers said it was a good thing that we, the people, saw that we were moving into this socialist nation. And what did President Trump always say? We will never be a socialist nation. And again, I thank the American people for listening to him, for voting for him. I thank the minorities, people that have never voted Republican in their life, for voting for him, for changing parties and voting for him. It's a godsend. And I mean, I'm all for it if they, if the Constitution can be changed so that he can reign another 4 years. We'll see. I know for a fact that there's been talk that he wants his sons to take over, Don Jr. and Barron Trump, in 2044. That'd be really interesting to keep the Trump name and legacy alive, because we say, who can push President Trump's agenda forward more so than his children? And his children obviously know him very well, know his agenda. And it's like, to just get rid of Trump, or not get rid of him, but I'm sorry, he ends his era. And then we have, God forbid, get back to what we normally had, the uniparty, or God forbid, get a Democrat in there. It's going to mess up all the beauty that President Trump is doing right now. So that's why President Trump is working so fast. But I think, in my opinion, he's setting his sons up to take over when he exits. That's my opinion. What say you?
It could be. I always thought I think JD Vance might. So far, JD Vance is looking pretty good too. I think he could do the job just as well.
As long as he stays in line and isn't like a Mike Pence in the end, it's all good.
Let's hope. Yeah, let's hope. Because I was disappointed with Mike Pence. I couldn't believe it.
We all were.
At first, I thought he was great. Okay, all right, he's looking good. Everything's going well. And then you got that. But you know what? You said something that was interesting. It's a good thing that they stole the election at that point, because if Trump was to take another 4 years, he wouldn't have had the House or the Senate. He wouldn't have been able to get a lot of stuff done. And you're right that it gave 4 years to just expose the Democrats. And it's actually a beautiful thing, the way it all worked out. So I'm kind of glad it happened that way.
So Dan, we have a couple minutes left. Tell my viewers how we can follow you and so forth.
Okay, well, I got, let me grab these. My book series, Good Gun, Bad Guy. It's a three book series. 1, 2, 3. And talks all about a lot of the stuff that we talked about today. It talks about the narrative, the anti-gun propaganda, talks about the media's involvement in the gun control game, and it talks about why they want an unarmed population. So the book series is great. It's goodgunbadguy.com, and my web show, which I want to get you on, Alexandra, is called The Loaded Mic. And people can find that at loadedmic.com. It's mic like microphone, MIC. And we got to, next week, we got to get you on the show. So I'm going to be in touch.
I just want to repeat. So it's Good Guy, Bad Gun. Is that correct?
Good Gun, Bad Guy.
Oh, Good Gun, Bad Guy. There we go. That makes sense.
Goodgunbadguy.com and loadedmic.com.
Okay, so goodgunbadguy.com. Got it.
Right.
And then mic.com.
Loadedmic.com. Yep.
And any Twitter handles for you?
Search my name, Dan Wass. Yeah, you'll find me on search Dan Wass or Loaded Mic, and you'll find me on all of them. LinkedIn, Twitter or X, and Facebook, and Instagram, and TikTok, and all that stuff.
Awesome. This has been a great 40 minutes. Thank you so much for coming on.
Well,
I'd love to have you back on my show as well.
Okay.
Such a wealth of knowledge. You really explained the Second Amendment better than anybody. Thank you so much. I hope it encourages people to obtain a firearm and not be afraid, because you never know. You could be living in the nicest area in, I'll just say it, Sarasota, Florida, and God forbid something happens to you. You really have to be prepared.
I was just there. I was just there in Florida
That's
recently.
where I'm from. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a nice area. I mentioned, okay, Sarasota, Florida. There we go. I'm like, you think you're on Lido Key Beach and everything's good, and then you get some more on. So.
Oh, yeah. I think everybody should carry and get trained. Yeah.
Exactly. So everyone follow Dan Wass. Go to goodgunbadguy.com and loadedmike.com.
Excellent. Thanks, Alexandra.
You're welcome. And we will be right back after the break with our top story. Hi, I'm Alexandra Levine. I'm a professional opera singer, actress, TV, and radio personality. Since 2015, I've been a volunteer, a field director, and a campaign manager, learning the ins and outs of the political world. That's why I became a political consultant. My job is to lead you to victory with organization, structure, and the mindset of winning for your district or state. With my guidance and direction, I can keep you focused on the things that matter to the people and advise you on key issues that need to be addressed. If you're a serious candidate that is serious about winning, then book a consultation with me today. Go to levineconsulting.co. You'll be happy you did. And you are all in with Alexandra Levine. That was me, levineconsulting.co, levineconsulting.co. Go to levineconsulting.co if you are a serious candidate, seriously thinking about running for office, and you want to know how to win. We just had a wonderful guest, Dan Wass. Please go to goodguybadgun.com and loadedmike.com. He knows everything there is to know about the Second Amendment, and he was just a wealth of knowledge, and I'm so happy that we had him on the show, and he will definitely be back. Now going to our top story tonight. This is a big, important story that has been getting viral attention, not only nationwide, but it is getting worldwide attention. As you know, I have viewers from Israel, viewers from all over the world. What happened on Friday, March 7th, at the Kingsmill apartment complex in Essex, Maryland, was a young boy, 12-year-old Kason Longo, was ganged up on by a group of 10 men for no reason at all at the complex. This young boy, Kason Longo, was hit in the head, he was hit in the body, he was sexually assaulted, his clothes were ripped from him, and he was continuously beaten by these 10 young men and assaulted. He has massive bruises all over his body today and probably mentally traumatized. These were boys that were 13 years of age or younger that surrounded this innocent life. No child should ever endure what Kason Longo went through on that horrific day. I will show you the tweet from his grandmother, Robin Sirkel. It says, "This is my grandson getting hit by a group of punks." And if you can see the tweet, you'll see it. It's a little small for me, but my viewers can read it. And then we also have a very important post, and we'll read it, and my viewers will read it, from elected official Tim Fazenbaker. And he said he is so pissed because he didn't write this as an elected official, but for those of you who don't know, Tim Fazenbaker is a father of 4. He's got 2 boys, 2 girls that are around the same age as Kason Longo. And for him to see that, it compelled him to do something. And it hurt and it shattered everybody, not just in Maryland, but all over the country. And when we bring up the elected official, Tim Fazenbaker, he will talk about the steps that he took to get this out there and what he did to help this family. And I will say, viewer discretion is advised of the video we are about to play. Please play the clip.
You see Chalman on there? Daquan Chalman? Chapman? You saw him on there?
Oh my God, dude, they're gone. Is that one of the kids down the hall?
Real shit. Stop playing with me, John. Yeah, go home.
Such a horrific video. As you can see, Kason Longo, who is white, is being pummeled, hit, attacked by 8 to 10 black young men. And police, they did get involved. They unfortunately did not consider this a hate crime. But me looking at this objectively, it clearly looks like a hate crime. My question is to the kids' parents, the delinquents' parents. Did they see the video? Did they see what their son did to this innocent 12-year-old life, Kason Longo? Have they reached out to the Longo family? Have they reached out to Kason? Have they said to their son, you should be in jail right now for what you did to that innocent young man, young boy? The fact that they pulled his clothes off his body and continued hitting him. And there's another video that shows Kason getting up and he is hurt, he's limping. He's crying. He's asking for mercy. He's asking them to stop, and they continuously hit him over the head and continuously hurt him and abuse him. It's disgusting what I saw and what others saw all over the nation. And what I think the American people are asking is for restitution for this young man and for his family. That the vigilantes' parents, they come out and they offer some type of restitution, maybe pay for the boy's medical bills, maybe pay for any mental health that he's going to need down the road, because this is very traumatizing for anybody. I can tell you, my father growing up in Baltimore and Washington, D.C., he was beat up at his high school for being Jewish. My uncle owned a restaurant and a deli in Washington, D.C. He was beat up by black men innocently. My Zaidi, which is Yiddish for grandfather, owned a liquor store in Washington, D.C. He was beat up by black men too, and so was his nephews right in front of him. Now, I'm not saying black because I'm making this about race, but you see what happened. You see a young white boy being attacked by 10 black men. It was very hard at that time for Kason Longo to defend himself against these 10 black men. And why isn't this considered a hate crime? Why hasn't Governor Westmore come out and combated this? As I've said in previous shows, Governor Westmore and Baltimore City Mayor Brandon Scott called themselves DEI leaders. Attorney General Anthony Brown is a DEI leader. Nick Mosby, the former Baltimore City Council president, has now been commissioned by Governor Westmore to be the Maryland Lottery Commissioner, another DEI hire. Why is this happening? Why are these crimes happening? And why hasn't there have been any repercussions for this? And now we have lawyers involved. Let's put up the slide. Disturbing content. This is from the Turnbull Lockmeyer group, and they are now involved. You can read it. They are now involved in this investigation. They actually offered to take on this case for free. They're defending the child that was beaten up. And again, we'll get into how they got involved. But this shouldn't be happening. I can tell you on a personal note, I was in an Ulta store in Annapolis last week where 3 black men wearing ski masks came into the store unannounced, probably with firearms. That was not confirmed, but I think they had firearms on them. And they came in and they broke a bunch of glass and they stole very expensive fragrances. And the store manager told me to go in the back because he was afraid that something was going to happen to me. I wasn't allowed to have a weapon on me, but I'll be honest, I was scared. And there was 2 women in the back that had panic attacks, and I had to come to their aid. At the end of the 10-minute robbery, the police came late. They had their photos, they had their license plates, this picture of their car, but they didn't go after them. I found out a week later, guess what? Those 3 black men were never caught, even though their pictures were all over the security cameras. I said to myself, how can this be? There's evidence right there that they did this. The problem is that the Ulta policy is they have to allow these robbers to just rob the entire store. But Governor Westmore almost had me killed. I could have been dead that day with the other clients and employees that were at that Ulta store. Kason Longo is very lucky that he is not dead. But if these 8 kids get released back into the wild, who knows what will happen to Kason Longo again or someone else like Kason. That's why it's very important that we put these delinquents and vigilantes in jail, lock them up, lock their parents up. We cannot let this go by. We cannot say, oh, well, the kid is black, we can't put him in jail. Because that's what your governor in Maryland, Governor Westmore, says. He puts race first before anything else. Remember, he's a DEI leader. Same thing with the Baltimore City Mayor, Brandon Scott, and Attorney General Anthony Brown. I talk about Maryland so much because it never used to be this way. There used to be law and order. I blame the county sheriffs for this as well. I blame the county executives for this as well. So how can we get law and order back into Baltimore County? Let's bring up right now Robin Sirkel, who is the grandmother of Kason Longo. And we also have elected official Tim Fazenmaker, who was on our show before. We're going to bring him up as well. Here we go. Robin, my question goes to you. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with Kason right now, and tell us a little bit about what the police are doing and the attorney is doing right now.
They met with the attorneys today, and they're in the process of getting Kason some therapy, giving him a therapist's name. And Kason seems to be doing okay. He's healing. He's going to school, doing what he's supposed to do. That's pretty much it. I haven't heard anything. The police are finished, from what I'm told. They're not going to be prosecuted. It's not a hate crime, and I wouldn't call that a love crime, but what do I know?
Now, let me ask you, Robin, has this ever happened to Kason before? And do you know if this has ever happened in the area that it happened before?
Not to my knowledge. I don't live there. I live in Pasadena, so I don't know. To Kason, no. Kason got hit by a car. It was a hit and run. Oof. He was riding his bike, and that was right there on Eastern Avenue. He was riding his bike on the sidewalk, and he got hit by a car. Nothing came of that either.
Hey, Robin, this is Tim Fazenmaker, and I'm sorry that your family's going through this. Can you kind of walk us through how everything began? And what I'm looking at specifically is how'd that video come into your possession before it went viral?
Okay, well, this happened on a Friday. And from what I understand from his father, because his father called me on Monday, and he got beat up, and he played soccer. He's a great soccer player, and he had a soccer game on Saturday, and he made it through soccer. Tony was shocked. Visible marks on his face, there weren't any. The normal boy things. Tony called me and he said, I have something on. Tony had it. I don't know where he got it from. One of some mother or something found it, and she turned it in. So Tony he says, I'm going to give you something. You can look at it or not. It's up to you. But here's what happened. And he went through the whole story about how Kaysen got beat up. And I took a glimpse of it and I just couldn't. It sickened me. And I said, somebody said to me, please post that on Facebook. Well, I didn't want to do that because I didn't know what was going to happen to Kaysen. My thought was Kaysen. And I asked Tony, his dad, and he said, just go ahead, just put it on Facebook. So I did. And then my son called me. He said, Mom, take that down. He said, it's violent. I said, I know. So then somebody else told me, no, don't take it down. I was going back and forth and then a friend of ours, a friend of Tim and, Eugene, he was like, do not take it down. This needs to be out there. You helped me. I want to thank all of you who have helped me and stepped up. I got to thank you all for that because it made it a lot easier for us to get through this. And
well, I just want to follow up with you, Tim, because I understand that you were in touch with the law firm, you were also in touch with the police, and you were also in touch with local media and national media to get this out there. Tell my audience about that process, Tim.
Well, I was at, the police officer called me, which was very nice. I thought that was nice. He called and I spoke with him and he told me what process was going through. He says for me not to say anything because it's an ongoing investigation. The same with the attorney, please don't say anything. It's an so there's not much you can say, So I spoke with him and I just, kept sharing the video and people were calling me and sending me messages and they're like, oh my God, can I put it here? Can I put it there? I said, I guess, go ahead. So.
And Tim, tell us about that process that you went through.
I received a phone call a few nights ago from a gentleman named Eugene, and Eugene lives in Pennsylvania now. Used to be a Baltimore resident. He lived through what the worst aspects of what you can think Baltimore is shown as on TV. Eugene had said, hey, I know you're a father and I know you're passionate about this and this is your district. And I think this is something that you should watch. And it was very tough to watch. And my first thought was, I didn't want to share this, but I had seen that Robin had shared this video and I knew what needed to be done. A lot of people in Baltimore understand that this type of stuff has happened for decades. I've been jumped before and, as a kid, not as bad as this, but many people have experienced these things. So my first goal was to get this out and get it in front of people and let them see what happens. And I went to the police station and I made sure that they were aware. I pushed the press. I got the press to go there. And then I spoke with Turnbull, which is a great community law firm that helps with any type of situation like this. Anything constitutional, anything related to community, they've been great. But the thing was, I knew that we would hit a roadblock in Baltimore and Maryland with the policies and laws that they put in place. So my goal was, we can't really change these politicians in this state because a lot of people keep voting the same way. So we needed to get it even more and national. So then it got picked up on X today. And that's where many of the main influencers really started taking off. And then Elon Musk jumped in and commented on it with WTF. And it's going everywhere. And it's sad because people have to see this, but it's good because it's shining a light that's on the problem. And these are the things that need to be fixed and addressed. And for something like this to be just dismissed right away as, well, we can't charge these kids and we can't, we're not calling it this and that. Well, a lot of people have eyes and perception and they see these things and they want to know, why is it certain things don't fit in categories like, is this a hate crime or not? My main focus with this is really just to expose it and let the public decide. And then from there, they can take action on what laws need to be changed or whatnot. But Maryland has to wake up, because if we do not, this will continue to happen and Maryland will continue to lose great residents. And in the news today, McCormick Spice, which is historic, is actually talking about leaving Maryland as well because of all the issues that are going on, taxes, crime, and everything else. So it was my focus to really get this out there And then to put the last thing on this, which a lot of people, it might shock them, but Eugene is black. And he said to me, he knows what this looks like. Whether it is or it isn't, it doesn't matter. First and foremost, it's let's take care of Kaysen. Let's take care of all our kids in our community. And then we have that discussion. And that's, I think, what the point is now. When you read the stuff that's going through the national media now, people are going, how is this not a hate crime or whatnot? Those are the conversations that we need to have so that this can change our culture in America.
Exactly. And also, federal always overrides state. So I know that Pam Bondi is looking into the state of Maryland on the federal level. She is looking to possibly sue the state of Maryland, to charge your Governor Westmore, to charge your Attorney General Anthony Brown, to charge your Baltimore City Mayor Brandon Scott, because they call themselves DEI leaders and they keep combating President Trump's executive orders. What say you about that, Robin?
Yes, I know, because I'm politically active, and I did the legislation for a long time, and I finally gave up. I must say, I gave up on the bills because they have the supermajority, and DEI wins, like you said. But back to Eugene, he called me that day, and Eugene was very emotional, and he was in utter shock. And he called Johnny O while he was on the phone with me, but I haven't heard anything from him. And I shouldn't, because he's not my representative. That's fine.
But Johnny
is
does
the congressman in the new CD2 district.
Right. Johnny
Right. But things have to change in this state. I've lived here, all my life. I grew up in Baltimore, okay, and I walked around all the streets of Baltimore. I grew up near Dredo Park in Woodbury, and it was a great place to grow up. Safe. It was safe. I could go out at night. Something has to change. This can't happen. They're coming after our children in more ways than one.
Yeah.
It's very true. Now, Tim, you represent Essex and Edgemere and Dundalk. Tell our audience how it's changed since you were there 40 years ago to now.
Yeah, as a kid, this was a great area to raise kids. It was a blue collar. You had some pockets of affluent constituents, and you had your more blue collar, and you had the people that were really downtrodden. The southeast part of Baltimore County has always been known as the way that you would win any political race in Maryland, because we had a great diverse mix of everything. We had cultures that we always talked about. When William Donald Schaefer was the mayor and the governor of Baltimore, he talked about going down Eastern Avenue, and you had Greektown, and you had Germantown, Little Italy, and he used to say that those communities are what made Baltimore. And those communities have been decimated by many of these types of things. And we've lost a lot of that cohesion that these communities have had. Now, Robin's on the other side of what used to be the Key Bridge, which many people will remember that actually was knocked down. So we used to have we used to have a lot more connection between Pasadena and, say, Dundalk, because we had that bridge. It's a little bit harder right now, but
Yes.
the differences that we're seeing is you have move to opportunity and other things that are being forced upon communities, and where places like Dundalk and Baltimore County have been sued because they're not meeting DEI expectations, where we have to have a certain amount of homes that are built, when they're built, have to be subsidized, whether that's Section 8 or something else. Yet at the same time, we have the historic Fort Howard down in this area, where we've always taken care of our veterans, and that's been pushed aside and is becoming developed for whatever else. And I'll not to go political, but you have all these federal workers that are either now relocating or losing their jobs in Maryland. We don't have a housing crisis now where we don't have enough houses. We're going to have way too many. So why are we continuing to develop in this area when we should be taking care of our own? Now, the community has changed, but there is still that soul in this community. And I have to say, I mean, it brought me to tears that so many people have reached out to me and said, I want to help the family. I want to buy them a new phone. I want to send them on a vacation. I want to do whatever I can. I want to be a big brother. Those are the things that really touch my heart.
Yeah.
And so many people want to do things. And that is what will still bring us together as a community, and that's how we're going to get through this. And Robin, I do want to ask, has any other elected officials reached out to you or the family at all?
Johnny Salings did.
Okay.
Um, that's all. Johnny Salings, you.
Okay.
Um,
And we've been
like
asking.
those people have reached out to me, sent me messages. Your people in your community and in Cason's community, it's incredible, and it brings you see something like this happen to your grandson, and it's disheartening. And then you have people like we've been saying this week, and it's like it opens your eyes again, like wow, people are really care and nice and loving, and there's this little bunch over here, this little bad bunch. We have to we we have to fix this some way. We have to.
White and black in this community have stepped up and said it's wrong, and we have to do what we have to do to fix this.
Yes.
And that's what's happening now. And I've noticed today, really in the national media, is it's now going and falling on our governor Wes Moore, because these are the legislative laws and that his administration has pushed, and they've signed into action to say a lot of these kids that were involved, they can't be touched. And we saw it in New Jersey recently, I think, where a 14-year-old murdered a police officer who was 26, and the 14-year-old just gets just wiped away. You can't charge these kids. Now that opens the conversation where you can have people that are like running for a county executive, like Kim Stansberry, who's talked about, well, there are ways that we need to make sure that we do something with the juvenile crime that's out of control here. What that is, that's going to be up for the public to figure out. But we need to do something, because the liberal policies that they have put in place in this state have destroyed it. They've destroyed lives. People have died from these types of things. And this is the last time that any of us want to see this.
And I can Baltimore City is now becoming, or excuse me, Baltimore County, rephrase that, is becoming Baltimore City. And that's what we're all afraid of. And that's what we don't want. That's why it is so important that we have the proper people in office so that Baltimore County doesn't become Baltimore City. What say you about that, Robin?
I was told this when we worked so hard to not have Wes Moore elected. And I was told by people in Baltimore City, Black people, if we don't beat Wes Moore, the counties will become Baltimore.
Yeah, that's true. And Eugene Boykai was one of those Black Republicans that stated it. You know, he did. He was the one that led the charge.
Yeah.
And he leads the charge every day. And that's why he moved to Pennsylvania, because he #had enough of what was going on in Baltimore City. And now he has, he's married to Hannah Lynn. He has a baby. He's got another one on the way. And like, they're living in paradise. They're happy. But Eugene, and my father always said this, you never forget where you come from.
Right.
And Eugene sees his city going to hell, and he sees Maryland going to hell. And he's tired of it too. And he's hoping, that the people in Maryland will, wake up and vote the right way and put the right people in office, because it's so important. Because what happened to your grandson could happen to anyone else again. And that's what we don't want.
I worry about young kids every day, and I worry about older people as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am one of those. And I worry about this.
You're not old, Robin. You're beautiful.
You're one of the young.
Thanks. But I just worry. I worry about our children in so many ways. The violence, the DEI things going on, the books, the education. They can't even read. They can't read writing. They can only read printing. Come on, people. Let's do better. Please, let's do better. If nothing else, for the children, please.
Robin, do we know what actually instigated this fight?
I do not.
Yeah.
I do not. I asked Kason, and I said, I heard that you called one of the guy's girlfriends a B, and he said, I did not.
Right.
Yeah, that's how it starts. I was telling Robin earlier in the program, these kids, they say, oh, this person called this person something, and it's a telephone. And then in my opinion, it's just a way, it's a made up way for these gangs to get, quote, triggered. And then
Well, if he did say that to that boy, why didn't he and that boy fight?
Correct.
Right.
Why did it have to be everybody in the neighborhood fight?
Exactly. And as we saw in the video, it wasn't just, one kid going after your grandson. It was 10 kids. To me, it looked like 15 or 20 kids, to be honest with you. It looked like a huge gang of kids.
Yeah,
Like,
it was. I counted more than 8. I think I counted like 10.
mhm.
But it was hard because they were running all over the place.
But they were circling around him, which was even more disgusting. They were circling around him. They were, making sure that he was just going to be flat on that ground. And then, as I said earlier, he finally gets up and he's limping, and you can see he's in pain and he's crying and he's saying, "What did I do wrong? What did I do to deserve this? Like, what the heck?" And they continue hurting him. And that's when they ripped off his clothes, and then they hit him with his clothes. And that got to me at the end. That really hurt.
I know, that was killing me too. And
poor
and
innocent kid
the,
is like
the
fighting
sad
for his
thing
life.
was, he said, I thought they were my friends, the ones he went to school with.
Yeah.
I can't
Robin,
imagine.
What would you like to say to Wes Moore? What could he do so that this kind of stuff would stop happening?
Well, Wes Moore can't really do anything. He's too worried about getting elected and spending our money. So how about we go to the legislators and say, look, can you please write a bill to protect our children and do something with the juvenile justice system? Okay. I remember juvenile justice back in the day. I remember, in Baltimore, they had the juvenile services right there on Charles Street. Okay. So that's gone now. How about we have if you're so worried about them being in jail, let's have a juvenile prison, juvenile school. When I was growing up, they had reform school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can't let them go out amongst, regular people and just commit crimes and say, that's bad. You can't let them go in the store. They go in the store and steal. Like she said, I watched it. I watched them. I watched them a few months ago take a backpack, cut the tags off with the store scissors, fill the backpack up, put it on, and I'm standing there going, and I
And you
said
can't
to
do
the
anything.
girl,
You can't say
huh?
anything. You can't do anything. You can't say anything.
No.
Stop
And the
them.
lady said, we're not allowed to do anything.
Yep. Sick.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what? You want me to trip them on the way out the door while you run over them with the cart? I mean, come on, let's do better. Legislators, do better.
I agree with you.
And people who are voting, learn about your people you're electing, because people call me up because they see me out there. Tell me about the judges. What do you know? Because and the Board of Education. People don't even know what the what is it called? The priest, not the priest. They don't like
The
that one.
precinct?
No, the what's it called?
District?
Eugene was on it.
Oh, the city council.
What is it?
The city council? Oh,
The
the
Central-
central committee.
The Central Committee. Why can't my brain's dead? Yeah, the Central Committee. People never attend those meetings or
That's
the
true.
county council meetings. How about we go learn about our system?
Yep. I mean, Tim is a part of the Baltimore County Republican Central Committee. We've encouraged people to go to his meetings. It's the second Monday of every month. So come on down.
It's nice. You meet people, you make friends. Look at you guys. I met you guys back there on Walk Away.
That's true. We've known each other for many years. Tim, I want to ask you a question as a father, because you have 4 children around the same age as Kaysen. What do you say to, because, you always want to, as a father, you want to protect your children as well. What do you say to the school board and the superintendents, to prevent anything? Because if this happens at an apartment complex, this could happen at a school too. And I know, your kids go to school in Sparrows Point. What is your message to the school board and to the superintendents on this?
I will say first, our elected school board representative in this area, I won't say his name, but he is phenomenal. Former gym teacher, somebody I work with closely on all types of issues. And I've had 2 other issues pop up at schools since Kaysen's video, and he's always there. That's the type of stuff that Robin's talking about, where we get involved at that local small level. It affects so much stuff. The superintendent got involved in this because I went to that school board representative, and he made sure, and I don't even know if I even ever mentioned this to Robert, but he made sure there was extra support in that school, at least to keep eyes to make sure nothing went crazy. So those are the things that we can affect. Now, in terms of school superintendent and everything, there are plenty of issues. First of all, the education is failing many of these kids. And the parents are also not working with schools, and you have issues like this that will just fester up and become problematic. So my thought has always been, if you have these problematic children, let them be homeschooled in terms of virtual. Let the parents figure it out while those kids are away and not disrupting the kids that are being productive and trying to learn in the schools. That is a way to make kids feel safe, first of all. And that's something I believe the county should really look into. It's finding a way, first and foremost, to take care of our kids, because as I used to always say, American kids first, which means we put our youth first and make sure that they're taken. This school system has many issues, not as bad as Baltimore City, but this county is turning into the city, especially with education. So I thank my local rep, and I wish the county would have done more to be more proactive. And I will say this as well, and this really touched my heart. I had other fathers that had messaged me and sent videos. That next day, after this video went viral, they were sitting at that apartment complex and by that school videoing everything to make sure that nothing happens. And nobody knew that they were doing that, but they did it because that's what the community is all about. We take care of our own first. We take care of our block, our community, our city and the state, and then America. But if you don't take care of your own first, this is the kind of stuff that happens. And we need to make sure we take care of the most vulnerable, which is our children.
Yes, that's exactly right. And, and we need to do the local elections, the school board. I attend my school board elections down here. You really learn a lot if you just go. The election didn't go our way this time for the school board, except for one person. But please, everybody needs to pay attention. Our kids, take care of our children.
Yeah,
I agree. One final question to you, Robin. Has any of parents of the kids that, beat up Kaysen, they reached out to you?
One did.
Hmm.
I don't want to say his name. I don't want to say, because I'm, unless you give me permission, I'm not going to do that. And he was a grandparent, and he called me and apologized. That was his step-grandchild or stepchild. And he said, I see you've already contacted the police. We were just going to do that. And his mother and his father are going to take care of it.
I'm
That's
glad. I hope more can follow. I hope that all of those kids that, beat up your grandson, I hope that the parents do call you and the grandparents call you and apologize or really, really do something, because it wasn't right what happened to your grandson.
Well, I'm sure it's hard for them as well. I mean, they must be embarrassed as well. I mean, as a parent, if my kid did something like that, I would be utterly embarrassed. And I don't know that maybe I could, I don't know, go apologize to them. Probably I could, because I talk to everybody, but not everybody's me, and
Yeah.
and that's okay. It's okay. But I hope they talk to their child. Talk to your child, tell them to do better. And I'm going to talk to my grandson as well. We're going to have a little chit chat too.
My
Well, we
last
just
question.
have a couple.
Can you tell us a little
A little bit about what?
about Kaysen?
Like, he's a great athlete. He's a great soccer player. He loves Gigi's spaghetti and meatballs the best. He's always busy. He loves animals. He loves his cousins, his family. I teach him about the Constitution and America, and I teach him about all you guys long before this happened, because because I want him to be America first. And I just he is a good kid. He's just a boy.
Yeah.
He's a boy, and sometimes he can be a little dingbat, and that's boys are, you know.
I
But
I feel targeted right here.
what? Oh, I'm sorry. No offense.
No,
No
I
offense.
telling us, who he is and the story. Are you able to forgive those that were involved in this?
Of course.
Okay. And I
I
had a
don't.
feeling.
I don't have that kind of. I just don't. I can't. Yeah, no. They're kids, and they need to be guided. We need to go to God. Let's try that. Let's try
Mhm.
prayers in school instead of other things.
Gender identity and CRT.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but okay.
You
Yeah,
can say it
let's
on this
try
program.
that. Let's try that. Let's try, instead of telling me I'm a boy instead of a girl, how about you talk to me about God?
Exactly.
That's we need to go back to God. If we just did the Ten Commandments and the Bill of Rights, we wouldn't need all the rest of the laws in between.
I agree. I agree 100%. Just final thoughts, guys. Robin, how can my audience find you? What is your social media platforms? How can we find you? And I just want to state for the record that your video went viral on at Lips at TikTok, at Elon Musk, at Gunther, who has like 1 million hits, at Catturd, who also has like 1.5 million followers plus. At Catturd was actually given an accolade by Dan Bongino, who we all know very well.
Yes.
So these are pretty prominent guys, and Catturd and Gunther and Chuck Callisto, they're constantly on X, like every 5 seconds, they're just reporting something. Also
Yeah.
at Nick Shorter as well. He also reposted this as well. So how can we get in touch with you, Robin, in terms of your social media?
Well, I'm on Facebook and I'm also on Twitter, but that's kind of it. I'm on um, the other ones, but I'm really not because I'd rather make things. I'm crafty, so I make things and I go out and wave signs and stuff like that. I don't sit home and do, I see stuff, I share it, I make my comments, and then I'm off, So,
No, that's great. And Tim, of course, share your social media platform with us.
Oh, if you Google my name, it's long. It's Faze and Baker. But if you Google it, everything will pop up. But America One Tim Faze as my X handle. Tim Faze and Baker is my Facebook. I'm on all the other ones too. If you Google it, I do want to ask this: if we were ever able to get President Trump to call Kaysen or somehow be involved, would that be something that would impact his life forever?
would impact mine forever. Yep, I'm sure it would. Yes, he's a
So,
Trump guy. Trust me, he's a
so if
yeah.
we can, that's our goal. If we can get this in front of President Trump, and it's possible he might have already seen it, we would love that assistance and for him to touch our communities and say, I'm with you, whatever it is. So it's a far
Yeah.
stretch. He's done it many a times with people, so hopefully we can.
Yeah.
President, I know you're listening. Take a look.
Yeah, and please, Pam Bondi and President Trump, please sue the state of Maryland. Please charge the governor. Please charge the attorney general. Please charge the Baltimore City Mayor Brandon Scott. Get these DEI leaders out of office. They're disgusting people, and they're the reasons why I was almost killed at an Ulta store, why her grandson was pretty much almost killed by 20 vigilante delinquents. We can't have this again. Never, and we always say never again means never again, and never again means now. This has been a great 40 minutes, guys. Before you guys leave, I'm just going to put up the flyer of our good friend, Kimberly Stansberry. Damon, you got the flyer? Oh, I don't see it. Oh, yep, there's the flyer. Join us. So our friend Kimberly Stansberry, she's running again for Baltimore County Executive. Please join us for the public event over politics at Bowman's, 9306 Hartford Road, March 21st from 6 to 9 p.m. There's going to be some great people there as well. She is a great person. And as I said, the Democrats that are running opposition of her, they don't support, Robin. They haven't reached out to Robin. And I can tell you that Kim Stansberry was also, she's a grandma as well. She was heartbroken by this whole incident. And one of the biggest things as county executive she wants to do is really combat the crime and lower the crime, because the former county executive, Johnny Olszewski, who's now the congressman, he's one of the reasons why there's so much crime in Baltimore County. He left Baltimore County with such crime. So please, I implore the people of Baltimore County to vote the right way, to hashtag Jexit the Democrat Party, to vote Republican, to vote Independent, to vote for Kim Stansberry in the primary. When she wins that primary, vote for her in the general, because we need a proper person in as county executive so that this crap doesn't happen again.
And one more thing, if you don't mind, that I say, let's try to get educated on what's going on in your neighborhood. And I want to give a shout out to my delegates. They're all in session right now, and thank God, I have awesome ones. I have, in my district 31, get it done for 31. So I just want to say, we have great people here in my district, and I'm grateful for that. And are you running again too? I hope so.
I'll do whatever the people are asking me to do to help.
Okay. I'm asking. I'll come over the bridge, or I'll swim.
Is one of your delegates, is it Brian Chisholm?
It is Brian Chisholm.
Great guy.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's fighting for our electric, because they've closed all the power plants except one. So I don't know how they think we're going to get power to our house, and all these electric cars, Nick Kipke.
Yep.
And Latoya. Latoya is kicking butt, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
she is. Yes.
You have a good team down there, so.
We do. And Nathan Volke, he's good too. So we got some good people. Yep. And we need to get the team back together on your side and get it all back again.
We're working it.
Sounds good. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. You guys are always welcome back on my show. And we'll be seeing actually more of Tim on this network.
Yay.
That'll be a surprise. I'm not going to say yet, but you will see Mr. Faisenbaker more on this network.
Well, that's awesome, Tim. Glad to hear it. Thank you, Alexandra. It was good to see you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tim. I can't thank you enough. My son keeps telling me I can't tell you, Mom, how nice he is.
Thanks. Well, that touches me. I'm glad to impact his life in a better way.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you guys so much. And we will be right back after the break. And hello, everyone. We are back. This is Alexandra Levine with Alexandra Levine Live. We just had a very, very impactful story about a young boy, 12 years old, Kason, who was hurt innocently by about 10 delinquents. And we just had his wonderful grandmother on, Robin Sirkel. Please go to her Facebook at Robin Sirkel and to see the video of what we posted. You can also follow elected official Tim Faisenbaker on his personal Facebook, Tim Faisenbaker. You can follow him on X at America1 Tim Faise, as well as his Instagram at Tim Faise and his Truth Social at Tim Faise. And he's all over Rumble at Tim Faise as well. And you can also see the viral video. You can also see the post that he made and the efforts that he did to help this family. And we need to continue helping this family, because if not, more of these heinous crimes will happen, and we can't have this happen ever again. So we're shifting to this last 20 minutes, going into liberal congresswomen and men. I just say liberal congressmen. There we go. Forget the women and the men. Liberal congressmen who, think they know it all. And again, these are DEI hires. And a lot of these people, they just have Trump derangement syndrome, TDS, and they do not stop. The first one that we'll bring up is from Representative Jasmine Crockett. She's insane. And, she writes, this will be public record, take it up. It shows that she was actually making a lot of money, that Doge found out that they were giving her, all this money for 3 luxury cars. Again, we talked about Elon Musk and Doge. Why are people combating him? it's showing that we, the American people, are giving this woman money for 3 luxury cars. Why are we doing that? Why is our taxpayer dollars going to that? Again, she works for us. We don't work for her. And then this was a very interesting tweet about Rosie O'Donnell. So Rosie O'Donnell actually decided to move to Ireland. And the ironic thing is that the Prime Minister of Ireland actually visited President Trump in the Oval Office at the White House, because we're approaching St. Patrick's Day on Monday, March 17th. And even President Trump said, like, oh my God, how could you have Rosie O'Donnell in your country? Like, your country's going to go broke. And Rosie O'Donnell, of course, said, if President Trump gets reelected, I'm moving out of the country. A lot of liberal artists did. But who was a Rosie O'Donnell? You know, she was this, big comedian. She's a hardcore liberal. Again, it's these liberal actors and actresses that get involved in politics that really kill their craft and kill their message. And I was a professional opera singer. I didn't get into politics until my career was literally ripped under me because of the crappy economy that Barack Obama put us in. And then Joe Biden comes in and makes the opera profession even worse by mandating vaccines. And then we go into the Kennedy Center and see that there's no money there. And I knew that. I knew the Kennedy Center had no money, because when you have liberals or woke people controlling the arts, everything turns to crap. And President Trump said that, and it's 100% true. Rick Grinnell proved that. He's the executive director of the Kennedy Center now. President Trump is the chairman of the Kennedy Center. So you have idiots like Rosie O'Donnell, idiots like Jasmine Crockett. Then you have another idiot, AOC. Let's go there with her. So AOC actually said, she's a congresswoman from New York, that we should hoard these illegals, that we should harvest illegal criminals. Well, Thomas Homan, the border czar, he didn't like that. And she's been hit with an ethics complaint over, quote, several troubling expenses from the representation's disbursement. So that means that when Doge went in to investigate her, she hasn't been putting in stuff in her FEC report. When you're a congressman or woman, you have to literally declare everything on your FEC report. And if you declare all this miscellaneous stuff, that's illegal. If you declare all the stuff that is coming from the American taxpayer dollars and not really going into your campaign, that's illegal. So Doge found that out. And of course, border czar Thomas Homan is looking into her, because she said she wants to harvest illegals in her apartment, in her home, anywhere. And of course, she's mad at Attorney General Pam Bondi for suing the state, for suing Letitia James and Alvin Bragg as well. And it just goes to show you the Trump derangement syndrome, the Democrats, how they're messaging, how they have no messaging, because they're so liberal and they only care about themselves. And of course, as we know, they are bought and paid for by Marxist, socialist, communist elitists. And they just have no inclination of we, the American people. They don't care that we're suffering. And again, we saw this with 4 years of Joe Biden, how inflation was going up, cost of everything was going up, our jobs were going away to illegals and DEI hires. That's why President Trump came in and signed all those executive orders to get rid of the DEI hires and to get rid of illegal criminals. And what did Secretary Marco Rubio do? He revoked the visa of that crazy guy in Columbia University who started the pro-Hamas protest against Jewish people and Christians. And then there was a huge protest at Trump Tower about it. This is insane. This is insane. Again, it's the minority trying to beat the majority. Most Americans are not in favor of these woke ideologies and the CRT and the gender identity. Again, we've hashtag had enough. So we need to fix that. We need to combat that. We need to elect people that actually care about we the people and support President Trump and his agenda. And then we find out by President Trump's White House counsel, my personal friend Alina Habba, she confirms it. We'll put up that slide. Holy crap. Alina Habba confirms that they are reviewing the Epstein documentation and prosecutions are actually coming. This is a massive win for America. Remember I said, trust the system. But there was something else with Alina Habba. She actually was being interviewed by Benny Johnson over there. He works at Turning Point USA. She was interviewed by him at the fake Oval Office. This was a pretend Oval Office that Biden was being interviewed from. It wasn't even the real Oval Office. And a lot of people question, was he really in the Oval Office? As you know, he was a Manchurian candidate. He wasn't sworn in at the exact time that a president's supposed to be sworn in. And there was nobody at the rotunda that day because they blockaded the entire Capitol. And there was barely any, there was certain people invited, it wasn't open to the public. So we saw the BS with that. A lot of people said that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are not technically the president and the vice president of the United States. I never acknowledged Joe Biden as my president. I never acknowledged Kamala Harris as the vice president. I never will. I'll never call them former. I'll never call them the president. I never, ever will, because I know that they didn't win. We all know it was BS. But Alina Habba confirmed. She confirmed that the Epstein files are coming. As I said, Attorney General Pamani and FBI Director Kash Patel are doing the work. But Alina Habba confirmed that Joe Biden was sitting in this fake Oval Office with this teleprompter telling him what to say, fake printer over here, fake video over here, fake camera over here, a fake setting throughout the whole entire room. She couldn't believe it. She exposed it on her Twitter today and on her Instagram. And it shows the fakeness of that administration, how fake Joe Biden was, how fake Kamala Harris was, how they were controlled, how they were just puppets, how Obama was controlling everything, the entire scene, and also George Soros was controlling this as well. But we, the American people, you know, there's hope. There's hope for us. Like I said, there is hope. Even with all this wokeness, even with all these Democrats trying to control us, even with the rhinos, the uniparty trying to come back. We have former Governor Larry Hogan trying to run for governor of Maryland again, even though he got beaten badly against the new senator of Maryland, Angela Asselbrooks. These rhinos that want to come in, or these rhino delegates, or these rhino state senators, or these rhino county councilmen that want to keep running and running and running and running and running, and they push these liberal bills on their people. Again, we the people are waking up. We the people waking up to this, and we're saying, we've hashtag had enough. We're not doing this. This is not happening. And as a result, as I said, gas prices are going down. We have a slide on that to confirm. And this was from Sheets. This was U.S. gas prices from a Sheets gas place. There we go. Just in, U.S. gas prices dropped for third consecutive week, lowest in 4 years. That's from Sheets. So I prefer Wawa. That's just me. But it's showing you that the U.S. gas prices are going down under President Trump. Like he said, we are going to be energy independent again. Promises made, promises kept. So that's why it was very crucial that we, the American people, saw 4 years of hell, and we saw a Democratic-controlled House, Democratic-controlled Senate, and then, of course, we took back the House, but we still had a Democrat-controlled Senate, so we couldn't really do anything. And that's why it was so important that President Trump came back in 2024 with a Republican House of Representatives and a Republican Senate, and now we're really getting things done, and all of his appointments have been confirmed. His 21 appointments have been confirmed, and now we're getting the ball rolling. And we are getting back to making America great again and keeping America great. And like I said, we have to trust the process. The man has been in there for almost 2 months, and he's done a phenomenal job. I mean, the man has been working since day one. He signed over 200 executive orders on Inauguration Day. And every day he's signing executive orders. And if the mayors, the governors, the county executives don't adhere to these executive orders, there will be consequences. That's why Pam Bondi is suing certain liberal states that are not following the Trump agenda. That's why Thomas Homan with Kristi Noem, DHS and ICE is coming in and removing all of these illegals. That's why Secretary of State Marco Rubio is revoking the visas of these pro-Hamas people, these anti-Semites, anti-Christians that were on college campuses and were hurting innocent Jewish lives and innocent Christian lives. And we have, of course, Pete Hegseth, the new Secretary of Defense, how he's getting rid of the woke culture in the military, how he wants real men in the military, real men with merit, not this trans crap. And he doesn't want we, the American people, paying for their trans surgeries. It's asinine. He saw what happened under the Biden administration with the military, and he's all about the military and getting the job done for we the people. And then you have Doug Collins, who's the secretary for the Department of Veterans Affairs, how he's going to help our veterans and get our veterans out of poverty and put them back in homes and get them jobs. He's tired of seeing our homeless veterans. That's why, Tim Fazenmaker and I are working so hard on Fort Howard and getting rid of this illegal bill that Governor Westmore put in to put Section 8 housing on federal land, which is illegal. That's why we cannot have federal landmarks be destroyed by these DEI leaders, by this woke ideology that the majority of Americans, they don't want and they don't accept. And I've talked to a lot of Democrats that voted for Trump in 2024. There was a lot of Democrats that didn't vote for Larry Hogan for U.S. Senate, but they voted for President Trump because they believe in him and they believe that he cares about everybody, not just himself and not just a certain party. Remember, President Trump is the guy that goes across the aisle and talks to the outsider. He brings that outsider in. He negotiates with them. They come to a consensus. That's what's important. We all have to get on board here. We all have to get on board. And we all have to understand that we are all Americans. That is what we are. We are all Americans. It's not about race, religion, creed. If you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat, independent, if I'm Jewish, if I was born in Israel, if I was born somewhere else, became an American citizen, we're all Americans at the end of the day. And that's what we lost under the Biden administration. Remember, America first. And like Robin said, we need to educate our children. We need to get better curriculum in the schools for our children, so that crap like what happened to her grandson doesn't happen again. We can't have this notion that just because I'm Black, I get away with everything. No, you broke the law. Like Thomas Holman said, it doesn't matter if you're Black, brown, white, purple, whatever, Jewish, Christian, you broke the law. You go directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You go directly to jail. You broke the law. It's not rules for thee and not for me, or, oh, I'm a higher power, I'm an elected official, you know, even though I drove under the influence, I shouldn't have to go to jail. I mean, this is ridiculous. Or you have a governor and a mayor that call themselves DEI leaders and there's no repercussions. No, they should be charged. I blame the lieutenant governor too, Aruna Miller in Maryland. She's a DEI hire. She hasn't done anything to combat anti-Semitism. She's done nothing to combat any type of hate crimes. The fact that the police didn't consider what happened to Robin Zirkel's grandson a hate crime is asinine to me. That boy was kicked and hit and assaulted by a gang of 10 plus people. And there was no one there to come to the boy's aid. Imagine if that was your son or your grandson or your nephew or your cousin. Imagine. Like I said, I was a witness to a robbery at an Ulta store, a store that I've shopped at for years. I couldn't carry a firearm with me, couldn't carry a weapon. The employees, they allow these people to loot. But what if they would have shot us in the head? Would that have been okay? What if they would have killed us all? What if they would have tried to rob me or hold a gun or a knife to my face or to my neck? What if I would have defended myself? I worked with the Israeli Defense Force. I know Krav Maga. They teach you how to kill someone with your bare hands. What if I had a gun or a knife to my neck and I wanted to defend myself? Would I be thrown in jail for defending myself? That's not what this country is about. We have the right to bear arms, we have the right to defend ourselves. That's what Dan Wass talked about too, or 2A guy, Guns of America. How we need to be able to have a firearm to protect ourselves, no matter where we are, whether we're in a school, a hotel, a museum, a synagogue, a church. There's a lot of synagogues that have had terrorist attacks, churches too. But the congregants aren't allowed to bring weapons. And I agree, we should have a vetting system, a proper vetting system. If you are a trained military person, or if you were trained in a firearm, you should be allowed to carry. If you, the individual, don't feel comfortable carrying, then don't carry. But we should have the right to protect ourselves. What if Robin's grandson had something on him to protect himself? He probably would have been the one charged and thrown in jail. That's how messed up some societies are. That's how messed up some states are. The liberal policies is what killed our country in 2021, 2022, 2023. And the liberal policies killed us when Obama was president too, for 8 years. We cannot have the pendulum swing back to that. We must continue in the direction of defending and protecting our First Amendment, our Second Amendment rights, and so forth. We need to teach our kids about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. We need to have teachers in the classroom that don't throw their political bias into the classroom and teach the Holocaust as it was. And don't bring pro-Hamas or Hamas propaganda and say that Palestine exists into the classroom, because there's no such thing as Palestine. Don't have these pro-Palestinian library teach-ins. Don't allow a pro-Hamas group to invade President Trump's humble abode of New York, Trump Tower, and spew out propaganda and BS. It's not peaceful protesting, especially when they spew out garbage. And don't be upset that a pro-Hamas activist pushed pro-Hamas protests at Columbia University or any liberal college and called for the genocide of Jews. You don't protest in support of that. You protest against it. You fight against crap like that. You don't allow it. Anyone that is supporting this young guy from Columbia, I don't even think he was a student, he was 31 years old. It's a disgrace. It is such a disgrace. And again, we need to get back to law and order. We need to get back to law and order in this country. That's what we voted for. That's what President Trump is doing every day. That's why he put border czar Thomas Homan in there with Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, and so forth, and Kash Patel. Allow them to do their jobs. Trust the process. It's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming. Well, before we leave and get out of here, I just want to emphasize again, my friend Kim Stansberry, her event. We're going to put up her flyer again. There we go. Kimberly Stansberry for Baltimore County Executive. Join us for the Public Safety Over Politics campaign kickoff. It's March 21st from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Bowman's. It's a restaurant, 9306 Hartford Road, $60 included. This is the QR code. You can also purchase or donate at electkimstansberry.org. That's electkimstansberry.org. Well, this has been a great 2 hours, guys. We covered so many things. I just want to say, please follow us on Rumble at America's Pulse Network. Please follow us on YouTube at America's Pulse Network. Please follow us on X at America's Pulse Network. And don't forget, we have other broadcasts on this show, the Jersey Shore Monday nights with my friend Damon Gallo from 8 to 10 p.m. and Friday nights, 8 to 10 p.m. with my friend Damon Galdo, the Jersey Shore, everybody. And don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Alexandra Levine, and on X at Alexandra Levi20, at Instagram at ARLevine85, at Truth Social, ARLevine85, at my Rumble channel at ARLevine85, and on my YouTube channel, which this show is connected today or tonight, at Levine Consulting. Thank you so much, everybody. And the reason you listen and the reason you watch is you are no idiot.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. The America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. APN's The Pulse, hosted by Alexandra, Damon, Elena, and Seth. So tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X/Twitter, Rumble, Truth Social, Facebook, and YouTube. Join the revolution. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.